So, what are you going to be learning from today's webinar? Well, first, you're going to be getting the secret formula that we use to gain hundreds to thousands more in visitors every single month. You're going to learn the way that we skyrocket our revenue from free, and I mean free, targeted traffic flow, and spend as little as 1 hour a week or go on full autopilot. Now, I know that sounds too good to be true, but guess what? You're going to learn why this actually works today. So, when we applied this method, the very first day we saw 253 visitors, and that is just insane. You don't really see anything like that. And then what we noticed was we increased our traffic that month by 1,752 visitors and increased our revenue by $2,149 a month. Think about that. All right. When we basically used this method and we said, okay, well, will this work for actually any business? We reached out to one of our good friends who's actually a roofer. He lives about down the street from us. And we applied this method to one of his sites. He ended up getting 10 extra leads and 2 sales per month with only, one website, and ended up getting an extra $15,000 in sales that month. Pretty crazy. So if you were going to tie everything together that we're going to be teaching you guys here, that we've been basically working on this for the last 2 years and really finding out what works, it all comes down to one thing. Make sure you guys write this down. I can't stress this enough. Accomplish the most while doing the least. Okay. And in terms of business, it just means maximizing our ROI with as little effort as possible. Does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully it does. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and keep going. So let me ask you a question. What is more important for your business, traffic or conversions? Now, what I'm going to make sure you guys understand is I'm going to apply this to a real world scenario. So give me a 1 for traffic or a 2 for conversions. So I see a ton of different ones coming in. I see some 2s coming in. I see some boths coming in. So let me go ahead and break it down like this. Traffic is everything because the more traffic we have at the top of the funnel, all we need to do is figure out how to convert that traffic. That's a good problem to have, right? Is having people coming in the door. Now that means organically. I'm not talking about paid. If we're talking about paid, that means we need to optimize the funnel before we start sending traffic. I'm talking about how do we get traffic that's organic, okay? So what I'm going to break this down like is that, I've actually, my family has owned a lot of different restaurants over the years, and we really pride ourselves in our food and how good it is. And let's call that the conversions. And, when someone walks in, we know they're going to spend money with us because it smells good as soon as they walk in. I'll tell you what. Well, here's the thing. If no one is coming in the door, no one's going to spend money with us. So how do we get people in the door? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. How do we get people to your websites for free? Okay. So let's go ahead and break it down like this. If you're going to think about getting traffic, okay, organic traffic, even I would say this applies to, PPC and everything like that. So number 1 is it needs to be simple. Okay, because if it's too complicated, you're probably not going to stick with it. It needs to be cheap, okay? We don't all have the tons of money to spend on this kind of stuff, right? And it also needs to be effective. Why would we waste our time if it's not going to work, right? When you guys agree, so make sure you guys follow those 3 important key components. Now, there's 4 top traffic sources that we found through, basically last 10 years of testing, really strictly last 3 to 6 years. And, the first one is SEO with long tail keywords. The second one is paid advertising. The next one is social sharing. And the last one is content marketing. So we're going to go through the pros and cons of each one of these. So SEO with long tail keyword targeting. Number 1, the pro, it's fairly cheap. It is dirt cheap, but it is so time consuming to do all the keyword research to actually rank. And you end up being at Google's mercy. We've had websites where we've ranked it. We started raking in $10K a month. Google changed its algorithm and bam, we lost all that money that we were making. So it's unreliable. It's cheap, but it's also very difficult. So then we tried paid advertising, and this is great because it's very simple. You simply fund your account, you create your ad, you bid on keywords, and you will begin to get traffic within minutes. But here's the problem. The traffic will come to a halt once you stop paying, and you can lose a lot of money if your ads are not properly optimized to your target audience. And most people end up with a negative ROI the first time they tried paid traffic until they get the hang of it, which can take a long time. So that means that you're going to keep losing money until you get the hang of it. And then the next thing is social sharing. Now, this is cool. We got people like Gary Vaynerchuk and people like that are all over social media. It's huge nowadays. And it's great because it can be great for free traffic. So you can increase your traffic considerably by taking advantage of social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And when you create something new and you share it with your friends and they in turn share it with their friends, either on the social platforms or using the social share buttons on your site, it can get you a lot of traffic. But here's the problem. You need to actually build a fan base first, and there can sometimes be a cost associated with this. And basically the most easy way is through paid advertising once again. And the other thing is that if you have one website and you have 4 social media accounts, now it feels like you're managing 5 websites. Now, if you have 10 websites and you have 4 social media accounts per website, how many sites does that feel like you're managing? 50. I don't want to manage 50 websites. That's crazy. And so then we get into content marketing. And honestly, hopefully you guys agree with me. Content marketing, you just can't surpass it. Okay. The more content, the more value you put out, the more you're going to get. You give value, you get good things back. And so what's great about this is you can create it, you can optimize it, publish it, promote it, measure it, build links to it, SEO it up, and basically pull a lot of traffic from social media. So it's just a full circle method here. So basically, very simply, content equals traffic, okay? So the more content you put out, the more traffic you're going to get. Because at the end of the day, it's a traffic snowball. There's 3 if you were talking about how Google, is basically going to send you traffic and rank your website, there's over 200 different ranking factors. But I would say there's about 3 that are the most critical for the success of your site. Number 1, and this is talking about completely organically. Number 1 is time on site. So how long were they sitting there and reading an article? Number 2 is, did they click onto another article? That's click-through rate. And then number 3 is social sharing. So, basically, if they, end up saying, man, I like this article so much, I got to share it with my friends, and, they share it to Facebook, Google loves that, okay? So, it's very simple. Put out good content, put it out consistently, and make sure it's easy to be shareable. That way you end up getting ranked over time, organically. So the more you get ranked from people interacting with your site, the more traffic you'll get from Google, and it will just be a snowball effect over time. So let's go ahead and keep going. What to consider with content? Well, there's 3 things, okay? It needs to be cost effective. It needs to be time effective, and it definitely needs to be high quality. It needs to be relevant, unique, and popular. Does that make sense to everybody? Go ahead and give me a 1 if that makes sense to you. It needs to be cost effective, time effective, and high quality. Otherwise, what are we doing, right? So where do we start? Well, number 1 is we could write all of our own content, and that's beautiful because nobody can communicate themselves like you, right? And so writing your own content is also very, very challenging. On average, if you want to write a solid article, it could take you anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. So here's the thing is, remember, it's all about consistency. So if I wanted to put out an article Monday through Friday, and it takes me about, let's say, 2-3 hours on average, we're talking about a lot of time that we're dedicating per week, to our website. That's like 10 to 12 hours per week. Well, number 1, I hate writing. I don't know how many of you guys hate writing, but I absolutely hate it. And the other thing is I hate spending my time, a ton of my time, on something that isn't going to directly make me money. And so then what I did is I tried my hand at hiring a copywriter. Now, they can range anywhere from like $12 an hour up to like $75 an hour, which is great, but here's the problem. It's very high quality, but it takes a bit more time and it's much more costly. So let's use that analogy from before. If it takes about 2 hours to write a solid article and I want to put out one Monday through Friday, that's 10 hours of work. Well, if an average copywriter is about $25 an hour, that means I'm spending $250 per week and $1,000 per month. Well, I hate spending too much, guys. At the end of the day, I want to make a profit. Wouldn't you guys agree? I mean, that's why we do this. Why else would we be in the business? Otherwise, we're just a charity. We're just putting out good stuff without trying to ask for anything in exchange. So a couple things to consider when thinking about content marketing, and these are key. Publishing articles that induce awe, laughter, surprise, sadness, and other emotions that drive people to share something with their friends. Articles should be fun, interesting, unusual, stupid, outrageous, or even controversial. I think we've been seeing a lot of this on social media lately. And also, they should be relevant to our audience or niche. So let's take a look at something really interesting here. Do you guys want to see something pretty cool? Excellent. I see a lot of yeses coming in. Great. All right. So let me know if you guys have ever heard of a site called Viral Nova. What's unique about this site is look at how much traffic it got in 1 month. 3.5 million views with an average duration on site of about 2 minutes. That's fantastic. Then we get to a site called Upworthy, and this is really cool. 8.8 million views in one single month with an average duration of 1 minute. Mashable, 60 million views, 4 minutes time on site. That's pretty crazy. Huffington Post, 224.8 million. What the heck? Think about what you could do with that much traffic. That's crazy. And an average duration of 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Then we get the BuzzFeed. These guys have really grown. It's almost up to 240 million views a month and an average duration of 3 minutes. So I have a question. What is similar between all of these sites? You say, okay, Shane, I see that they're getting millions and millions of views. That's crazy. But, how are they doing it? Let me know in the chat box. What are they doing to get this much traffic? I mean, it's just too much. These guys must just, I think we understand, content, right? Everybody's saying content in the chat box. That's great, right? But here's the problem is how many writers do they have to publish that many articles? Well, the first thing I would say is why are they getting that much, traffic? I would say it has to do with viral content marketing. This is the key. This is like a power keyword right here. Viral marketing requires the least amount of work, time, and money, which makes a huge difference. You just publish a viral article and the traffic snowball will go from there. It literally explodes your social sharing, and it's the easiest and fastest way to get huge amounts of relevant traffic within short periods of time that still makes you money. So the secret is content curation. I saw some people talking about this in the chat box. This is the key. I would say that content is not king. I would say content curation is king, strictly because I don't like to spend a lot of time and I don't like to spend a lot of money. And if you look at all of those websites that we are just looking at, they are all using content curation. So if the big guys are using it, why aren't we? Right? So ask yourself that. Why are we not using this for our business if it's working for them, right? So what is content curation? Well, content curation does not include creating new content. It's the act of discovering, compiling, and sharing existing content with your online followers. It's essentially a filter that pulls together the most important bits. Think about it like, one of these filters here that you're sifting through the dirt to find those golden nuggets. That's what we're doing, when we're trying to find viral articles. Now, imagine two articles exactly the same, but one was a very long article and the other one was very short. Which one do you think that your followers are more likely to read? Go and let me know in the chat box, the short one or the long one. I think everybody has it right. I see a ton of answers coming in. Definitely the short one. Why would anybody want to read these massive long articles? We just don't have that attention span anymore. So if you want to have a better time on site, you want to have a better click-through rate, stick to what is viral and stick to what is short. So this is basically how it is working. So while content creators are out there basically spending tons of money and spending tons of time, phooey, I'm done with that. What's going to happen is I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to wait for articles to go viral. I'm going to pluck those out and I'm going to use that to share it with my audience. You know why? Because I know it works. Why would I spend all my time and money on something that I don't even know if it's going to work? So that gets us to our shortcut to success. No more spending hours and hours writing content that we're over with. We're done with that. No more spending thousands of dollars on writers. We need to actually make an ROI, and no more publishing content that people may not even want to see. How many times have you guys ever written an article and you're like, man, this thing is going to be great. People are going to love this. We're going to get so much traffic. And, you put your heart and soul into it. You publish the article and guess what happens? No one comes. No one even goes to read it. It's the worst. I hate that.